Hey guys, Lambros here from Station 5. Joining me on the couch, I've got Jimmy and Mike. One thing I kind of wanted to bring to light, given Jimmy's in the accounting industry, is, Station 5's just recently managed to acquire a Zero Cloud partnership, which I'm treating as a big deal, but I don't think is that big a deal. But the thing I wanted to ask Jimmy is kind of from that angle. Obviously, there's this huge kind of migration or tendency to move towards kind of the tech side of things now inside the accounting industry. And I was hoping you could provide some information about how that transition is happening and what sort of technologies exist to ensure that that flourishes over the next few years.
Okay. Well, with the ATO implementing its e-tax and MyTax schemes, accounting industry has taken a large move forward in the sense that it no longer just incorporates, your compliance forms. It provides platforms for businesses to really see how well they're doing and also assess where they're going in terms of measuring, cash flow and measuring, profit and loss and things like that. So it's no longer just a form filling platform.
Yeah, got it. Perfect. In terms of that, Mike, just bringing you into this, what sort of, processes or how can people anticipate from a customer point of view, perhaps one of Jimmy's clients, for instance, or an accountant's clients, how can they anticipate seeing this sort of rollout? Having worked in that industry quite extensively for 15 years, how can people start to see that? Obviously, it's not going to be kind of a big bang approach. No. How can people start to kind of expect to see that software technology roll out into their own businesses?
Well, it's funny because the ATO itself has got a digital strategy, right? So they're actually going to roll out things between now and 2019 around the financial planning. I know that. Even so it's not necessarily accounting, but it does influence the accountancy industry and the crossover. I do notice that. So there's a digital gateways that have been built to submit things to the ATO. So if you've got APIs, want to go too technical, but you can submit things via digital means that are generic to all accountants. And that's how the ATO builds this stuff, to submit forms and online forms via a electronic means. So you're not doing it by paper and submitting it off in the mail anymore. Well, I know, I remember that. So that's all changing, right? And that's just the footprint of starting scratching the surface. And as we saw that there's e-forms, submitting your tax returns, and the ATO, for example, sending you a tax return, predetermined tax return on there, what their system tells you, because they've got connections to the banks and so forth. So there's a proactive approach from the ATO to make it easier for you to do your tax return. But that's changing the way the bottom end services of the industry and how that gets serviced, the mum and dad investors and so forth, that, or the mum and dad customers. So it's kind of changing a lot of that bottom end parts there. Now, beyond 2020, there's a whole new agenda going on, more of a digital strategy. So they're going to start expanding it out to other parts. That hasn't been announced yet, and I've noticed around the world that there's more happening around that strategy too, and other tax departments around the world. So they're going to have different strategies in how they target how you can deal and file your tax returns and how you interact with your tax authorities and other integrated departments. So it could be the corporations, forums or departments that look after corporate tax and those kind of bodies around the world that integrate with that system. But there's all sorts of things that will change in the future. And it's just scratching the surface. And even they're trying to work out, the governments, which way they want to go. And they're prioritising at the same time. But it's interesting. It's early days, but it's gonna explode.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for your time. If you've got any questions, shoot them down below, and we'll get back to you shortly. Cheers.